The stomach has several regions. The cardio region is adjacent to the gastroesophageal sphincter. The fundus protrudes upward. The body makes up most of the stomach, and the pylorus is the funnel-shaped region that leads into the duodenum. The mucosa of the stomach is dotted with gastric pits. The gastric pits lead into gastric glands. Let's look more closely at the gastric pits and the gastric glands. The gastric pits consist of simple columnar epithelial cells that release an alkaline mucus rich in bicarbonate ions. These cells are called mucose cells. Deep to them are the gastric glands. The gastric glands consist of several types of cells, and collectively these cells produce gastric secretions. Let's look first at the mucose neck cells. These are in the superior portion of the gland, and they produce a mucus as well. However, this is an acidic mucus, so it is different than the mucus produced by the mucose cells in the gastric pits. This is an illustration of a gastric gland. Several types of cells are found within the gastric glands. Parietal cells secrete hydrochloric acid, an intrinsic factor. Chief cells secrete pepsinogen, a protein that is converted into pepsin in the presence of hydrochloric acid. Pepsin functions as an enzyme that breaks proteins into large polypeptides. There are different types of enteroendocrine cells that release hormones and paracrines. The hormone gastrin goes to the parietal cells and causes them to release hydrochloric acid. Histamine, a paracrine, has as its target the parietal cells, and they release hydrochloric acid in response to histamine. Another paracrine, serotonin, causes the smooth muscles of the muscularis externa to contract. Somatostatin, which can function as a hormone and as a paracrine, inhibits gastric secretions. Gastric secretions are very acidic. They have a pH of about 1 to 2. That's due to the presence of the hydrochloric acid that's released by the parietal cells. So why do you have such a low pH in your stomach? There are several reasons. The acidity begins to denature the proteins, making it easier to break them down. In addition, pepsinogen is converted into pepsin in the presence of a low pH. Pepsin, recall, is the enzyme that begins the breakdown of proteins. Proteins are broken down into large polypeptides. So why release the pepsinogen in its inactive form? The pepsinogen is not converted into the pepsin until it reaches the lumen of the stomach. The pepsinogen that is released from the chief cells will not harm the chief cells or the cells there in the gastric glands. You don't want to convert it into the active form until it is in the lumen to protect the cells that release the pepsinogen. In addition, the acidity kills bacteria. Remember, protein digestion begins in the stomach.